Hello and welcome. I'm Annette Reeder from the biblicalnutritionist.com. And today we're going to talk about your thyroid. If there's ever one system in the body that gets blamed for everything and is yet so confusing, it's the thyroid. If you have any issues with your weight, oh, it's my thyroid. If you have any issues with your hormones, oh, that's my thyroid. If we want to blame anybody, anything, it's always, well, I must have thyroid issues. But that's not truly true. And we're going to discuss that today. And I have my special guest again with me, Dr. Jay Hitson. If you have not already watched the video interviews that we've done in the past, I'm going to link them down below. You really need to check this out because I wanted to bring someone to you that you can relate with. That's key, but also someone you can actually go to if you desire to. So many times I bring on specialists, and it's like, well, you can't get a hold of them. And I get that. But this time it's different. And this is why it's so important to me because you matter to me. Your health matters to me spiritually, physically, and mentally. You matter because just as we are physical, we are spiritual. And just as we are spiritual, we are physical. So putting that all together with a great Christian doctor that we can refer to, that just is like icing on the cake. Okay, I know we don't talk cake here in this YouTube, but you know what I'm talking about. So it is my joy and honor to bring Dr. Jay Hitson with us today. And so before I bring her on, I just want to say thank you for letting me share with you God's recipe for excellent health. And it includes so many things: how to be healthy, how to be confident in the kitchen, how to be confident with your health, and how to be confident in understanding how much God loves you. All right, Dr. J, thank you for joining us again. Another great topic, and it's all about the thyroid.
Absolutely. So the thyroid is a very common topic. I mean, that is one of the number one things that whenever people are coming into our offices, they usually cite, hey, I need help with my thyroid. So I'm excited to get into the information and get into the things that we've learned in real practical experience, not in theory, what we've actually seen working for real people.
There's a lot of people that have just tuned in and turned up the volume. So, because we've all heard it, we've all said it. So, now give us some ideas as to what are the common reasons we blame the thyroid and what are the reasons we should blame the thyroid, if there is any.
So the thyroid does get blamed for weight gain. And fatigue, brain fog, just overall lethargy, which are extremely common symptoms. And it's just made a lot of headlines. It's become quite the celebrity. And once something gets I've been in practice for a couple decades now, so I've been through the various fads. There's the different key diagnoses that make their way through. I remember the phase where we had to check everybody for plantar fasciitis, and every foot problem was plantar
Yeah.
fasciitis, and then inflammation is making big news now, and that's the big one. So thyroid has just had its day of being blamed. It's just getting a bad rap. Is at least that's what I am finding from clinical results. It's getting a really bad rap. Now, there are people who absolutely have thyroid issues. There's no two ways around it. But what's really interesting is it's like the innocent bystander of other conditions that are causing it to malfunction, because your thyroid's like your thermostat. All right. So every other thing that's going on around in your house can cause that thermostat to have to fluctuate. And sometimes it just can't keep up with all of the different heating and cooling and all of the different things that are going on in your body. So for those who have been battling with thyroid issues, there could be secondary things that are really causing the problem, and your poor thyroid is just struggling to keep up.
Yeah, well, you've just helped people to understand. It's like, okay, so now I can't blame my thyroid. So, how do I know what's going on? So, that's one answer we need to have available for people. But the other one is, okay, so we know we should get our blood work done and we know we should get our thyroid tested. Many times, though, the doctor will not order everything you need to really know if it's the thyroid. So they might order just a TSH and it's not a complete picture. So therefore you might be suggested a medication or not suggested a medication. And so how do we overcome that problem? Because that's what I think is one of the biggest problems, is either the lack of testing or the wrong conclusion from the test. How would you work with that?
You really do, to get a good picture, at least a good baseline picture, you need not only the TSH, you need the T4, T3, and TPO. There are, I understand a lot of physicians really only want to run the TSH. That's kind of become an insurance company thing. It's not because they want that, it's because that's what the standard of care. And you really see, you need those numbers to know how well is it truly functioning. Because most people don't know this, like the TSH that's a chemical from your brain. It's not even coming from your thyroid directly. So when we're basing everything off of this chemical that's coming from your brain, while a solid indicator, it's not truly giving us the full picture. So one, getting a really solid panel. Why is it so difficult? Because it's the standard of care. They're fighting that. So how you get around it is, you can get these tests. It's just, it's out of pocket expense, but the information is invaluable. And especially when you're looking at how much time, how much energy, and how much of your resources you're using chasing possibly the wrong symptoms.
Oh, that is so true. And I like how you said that, because I've been recommending blood work since I started this ministry. We've got to have an inside view of what's actually happening. And I always recommend a very extended list of blood work to get done. But I like what you've done. You've kind of taken the most necessary test and put it all in one test, because that's the problem with my list. You have to go and decipher, okay, would that be a CBC? Would that be, a thyroid panel? Where does the list that I've given you? Whereas what you've done, you're like, okay, here's 80 something things that you need to have tested, and it gives us a better picture of what's happening. So when you're testing for thyroid, you're also testing the other systems to see, okay, is it truly a thyroid issue, or is it something else that's given us those indicators? Is that correct assessment?
We hit all of the secondary, primary components of thyroid. So just to give you a couple really key examples, and probably one of the easiest ones, vitamin D. Your thyroid needs vitamin D. And if there is ever a deficiency out there, it is vitamin D. The number of tests that we come back and people are deficient. And for those of you who do have your numbers and you have seen your vitamin D, I don't like to see anything below 50. That's a number that I've come to, and just for what it's worth with regards to that particular number, all during COVID, we had a lot going on. There was a lot said, there was a lot of information out there. A lot of it wasn't really correlating to what I was seeing in clinical practice. The one thing that was being said was about vitamin D and COVID. And if your numbers are below 50 for vitamin D, those people did get sicker than the people who were able to stay above 50. Here's the other cool thing. Not only does it help fight COVID, it is the fuel to your thyroid. So there are so many times that we have people who are taking and on all of these thyroid treatments, and by just raising their vitamin D, we've actually been able to get a lot of the thyroid symptoms to go down.
Okay, that was a huge takeaway for everyone watching. And it's such a simple one too, and it's inexpensive. So whether they know they have thyroid issues or don't know, they still need to be taking the vitamin D, because we could go on for another hour, all of the benefits of vitamin D, having it up to an optimal range. And so that was a really big takeaway for everyone. So thank you for putting that in there. I'll also put a link down below for a vitamin D supplement. This brand, I'm telling you, it's the best. It's like the bomb for vitamin D. And plus it's so easy to take, but it totally brings numbers up very quickly. And we've done the test in our inner circle. We were totally amazed by it. So we really like that. Okay, so what I'm hearing, just to kind of wrap this up, is there's a lot of confusing symptoms that people either attribute to or don't attribute to the thyroid. So that part is a little bit confusing. As you said, it kind of gets blamed for a lot of problems that aren't necessarily its own fault. And it's not always the thyroid, interferes with other things. I don't mean to say interferes, but it does play into other things. So that's one thing, first of all, we need to recognize. And only way we can know that is by getting the specific blood work. So when I had your blood work done, I've never had the TPO done before. So that was a new one to get an even better view of the thyroid. And I was kind of surprised at that. And I was interested when I got the results back, what that was going to be. So what you have put together is greater than anything I could have ever thought, because obviously the knowledge level is much higher. And I appreciate that. And I respect that. So I like the fact that you've put everything together in one test. And so people can get that done very inexpensively, comparatively speaking. And then they get to meet with you or one of your other physicians for 30 minutes to discuss it and realize, okay, wow, that wasn't my thyroid that I've been having trouble with. And you can identify where the problem really was. As you've said, we've got to get to the root cause of what's causing the problem and not just start, addressing little issues. And then, yeah, so I really like how you're putting this together. Is there a specific diet that you would recommend? I mean, other than what we teach is the three principles, like, hey, just eat real food. But beyond that, what would you recommend if they think they're having issues while they're waiting to get tested?
You're absolutely right. I mean, the thyroid responds to a balanced diet, and it does respond to the baselines. But with that said, while you're getting tested, and this isn't true in every single case, and that's why you really do have to be treated like the unique person that you are and not in all of these generalities. But gluten is not a friend to thyroid. That, especially with people who have a particular condition called Hashimoto's, which, by the way, Hashimoto's, which is rarely tested for, is the number one cause of hypothyroid. So if you've been diagnosed with hypothyroid but never been tested for Hashimoto's, that's significant, because how you go about your treatment is vastly different than somebody who doesn't have Hashimoto's. So, but either way, gluten is really nobody's friend. So, just starting to reduce or eliminate that can make a huge difference.
That's a big takeaway. So pretty much all restaurant bread, all store-bought bread is basically what they've done is they've stripped all of the nutritional value out of that grain of wheat that Jesus is, he is the bread of life. The bread of life he's referring to had more nutritional value than any supplement you could ever buy in the market today. So they stripped all that out, bleached it, sterilized it, heated it up to high temperatures, and then they filled it in with 100% gluten. So you're just eating like a lump of gluten, which is why we end up with leaky gut, which is why we end up with so many other health issues, because it starts in the gut and then it just travels. So that is a very good takeaway. And I always say, don't eat the restaurant bread, don't eat the store-bought bread, just make your own if you're going to eat bread. And then we get everything that God designed. So that's a huge takeaway. So that's excellent. So we have good dietary options we can change to. And like you said, a balanced diet is always where we start. And then getting blood work, knowing what's going on the inside, so we know exactly what we're dealing with. And then I know in your consults that you spend with people for 30 minutes, which is incredible, that you actually will say, hey, these are some supplements you might want to check out and see what difference that's going to make. But then I love what you've said in the past on other videos is that you see changes 30, 60, 90 days. And people feel the energy that they thought they should have, but kind of passed it off as well. I'm getting older, I don't get it anymore. But tell us just, an example of what happens when we address the blood work and we make the changes that we need.
The body's designed to heal. God made us to heal. We're always in a state of healing and repairing. I think so many people start to lose confidence in that after a while, especially when they've been suffering for so long. So, and there are so many, different warning signs, and it's the warning signs are what you'll see change first. Typically changes in the skin, hair, nails, and joints. Skin, hair, nails, and joints. A lot of people with thyroid issues know that their hair's thinning, skin doesn't look as good. They just kind of hurt. Their joints hurt. Those are, and then of course, then the fatigue, a lot of times to anxiety symptoms, again, the brain fog, all of those things. What's really, really interesting is those particular symptoms are sometimes those are the first ones to go. Even before we necessarily get into ideal ranges, we start to see the hair coming back, we start to see the energy levels rising. And again, there's a law of healing. We talk about this all the time. We have no idea why 90 days, but that's the law of healing. It's amazing how many things heal in 90 days. I don't know why it's 9 months to have a baby. I don't know why it's 90 days to heal. That's just the way God made us. But in that 90 days, if you can just stick to it, it's amazing how you can get over that hump. You can get over that, that point and start to see such amazing results in your life. And that's just what's exciting, because this isn't years. This isn't going to be decades from now, I'll finally feel better. No, in another 3 months, you can be there.
I love that. That is an incredible takeaway because people do want a timeline. And if you say, well, you need to do this for the rest of your life and we hope you feel better, that's what you walk out of the doctor's office with, just because of the way it's set up. But what you're saying is it's the law of healing. And within 90 days, you should have start experiencing what God intended you to experience in the beginning. So that is a huge takeaway. So thank you so much for joining us here today and just helping people with their thyroid and breaking out of the confusion, breaking out of the Google search, and just realizing, okay, I've got a plan. I'm going to put it into action. And then within 90 days, I am going to start recognizing the results. That's an
That's
amazing,
it.
so simple, so simple.
Yeah.
All right, Dr. J, thank you again for joining us. Is there anything else you want to share with anyone?
Oh, if you are experiencing the warning signs, specifically fatigue, hair loss, skin issues, just take action sooner than later. This is so much easier, though, when we can address it earlier. Amazing what can be done. So, and I just want to give everybody so much hope that even if you've been battling this for decades, there are answers. There's always answers. It's just a matter of getting to the bottom of it.
Excellent, excellent. So we will put a link to your website down below. They can look into the exploratory functional blood panel, get that testing done, get to meet with either you or your team for 30 minutes to hear the results and just ask questions. That's so valuable. So I hope everyone takes advantage of that. It is so incredible. I paid for it myself and had my own done just to see, okay, what's this look like? And it was well worth the investment. I was totally impressed. So we'll put that link down below. And also, I just want to say thank you to all of you for joining us here at the Biblical Nutritionist. And if you just like to learn about healthy living, if you like to learn it from a biblical perspective and see God's handiwork in the design of your body, check out our courses at biblicalnutritionacademy.com. And be sure and leave your comments down below. We love reading your comments. And until next time, remember, God loves you with an amazing, everlasting love. Thanks for watching.